Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, and in this video we're going to be using my 2GS, a bunch of miscellaneous random hardware, and a whole lot of well, convoluted nonsense in order to make physical boot media for my Apple II Plus. This was a lot of fun, so let's just get started and see the headache I had. Okay, so I have my lovely Apple II GS set up right here, and yeah, okay, it's not fully restored. It needs cleaned up really bad because the keyboard's kind of nasty and there's some gunk on the monitor and it's retro-brighted, and unfortunately that's my only working floppy disk for any Apple II stuff because none of my other 3.5-inch drives work. But anyway, hopefully in this video, between this, that, and some other miscellaneous stuff, I can use this to, at least some combination of stuff, to write a physical boot floppy and have it boot on that machine there, because ever since I've had this machine and all the problems I've had with it during the restorations and repairs, I have actually never seen this thing boot with a physical floppy to any version of DOS. It's had RAM issues, it's had a floppy controller issue, it has a keyboard issue, but I am bound and determined to get this thing to boot like it's supposed to. Hopefully, anyway, by the end of this video. This video might just end up being a flop, but anyway, hopefully either I'll learn something about Apple II stuff like this, or I'll be laughed at in the comments from the Apple II guys. So yeah, let's get started by first off, I want to make sure everything works here. The floppy drive, keyboard, I just want to make sure everything works on this end. And we're just going to try this floppy game thing here. It's called the Apple Barrel public domain game thing. So it's got a bunch of games on it, including Harambe. Did somebody predict the future? Love it. That's a good sign. Let's see what's on here. Oh yeah, in case any Apple II guys are wanting to know, this is a ROM revision 01. It's not the 00 WAS edition, nor is it the 03. Which I don't think matters. Okay, what do we have? Apple Barrel 2, the Monkey Barrel from CDS. Yeah, checkbook. I just want to run something, but I'm kind of curious what else is on here because I've never actually used it. Future value calculator, days between dates, calendar, shape builder, high-res text editor or writer, screen print, plot, metric conversion, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, Apple Le Mans. I'm assuming that's a racing game. Think, Mountain, Luna, CT, or L. Okay, I'm going to try this floppy at some point on something else, but I just want to see what's on here. Press return to restart. Well, wait, let's just try Luna, CT, or L. I want to know what that is. I just want to make sure the floppy drive reads correctly. Which seems like it is. Ooh. Is this... You're the pilot of the new... Oh my god, it's a lunar lander. I remember this. By turning paddle. I don't have paddles for this. Okay, so this was meant for an Apple II, not a 2GS, and I don't have paddles for this. But anyway, yes, it is reading correct. So let's get some stuff set up to, fingers crossed, write some floppies. Okay, so I love how easy Apple IIs are to take apart. But anyway, I just realized I never actually talked about this machine because I kind of intended to restore it before this point. But yeah, I'm not going to talk too much about it, about what's in it, or what I found in it when I got it. It's a super neat machine. Okay, so I've got this USB to serial adapter here with the null modem adapter, and a Super Serial 2 card because I do not have the cable that goes from this to the built-in one on there, so I'm going to have to install this and then set it up in the setup menu, which there's no battery, so it doesn't save settings, which sucks. I need to actually buy the battery off, I think Reactive Micro sells them. So yeah, let's get this installed into slot 2 and grab my laptop and fingers, it's just what happens. 2. And realistically, yes, I should be running this connector out of the back here, which I think this thing had one installed at one point because there is the knockout for it already out, so all right, let's start up ADD Pro here. I'm gonna go to that so we know what disk images are on here. I downloaded a bunch of random ones to just try this thing out. All right, so it should be serial connection, bootstrapping, send ProDOS. Okay, so we need to go into the settings, which is Control Apple Escape. Slot 2, we're going to go to your card. I believe that's what, okay, that's what the website says, yeah. Okay, and yes, I am, I have my phone up, reading how to do this on ADD Pro's website. Save. Quit. It says IN number 2, because that's the slot it's in. Control A. Super serial card, 14, was it AB? Yep. Okay, enter, and then enter on here. Is it sent? It's sending, but I'm not receiving anything. Uh-oh. That's gonna be a problem, because it says there should be data flying across that screen, and there's not. Crap. All right, time to diagnose. Okay, so it's actually been a little bit. In fact, you can see a little bit of the spilled water on my shirt from earlier. But anyway, it's been a little bit since I've been messing with this. In fact, it's still on my desk behind there. Ta-da! And I've actually made zero headway with this whole Super Serial Card ADD Pro thing. So I've tried, I have 2 Super Serial cards. I'll explain that at some point. There's really not a point in me explaining why I have 2 right now. But anyway, I tried both my Super Serial cards. I tried all 3 of my USB to serial adapters. Long story why I have those. With and without the null modem adapter. I tried reinstalling and downloading the ADD Pro suite. I tried every common serial setting I could. It just will not bootstrap, which I find very odd. Now I will say that I know that the bootstrapping works on the Apple II Plus with the Super Serial card. In fact, I think if I remember correctly, when I did the some more diagnosing and testing and registration stuff on the Apple II Plus earlier this year, which I'll put links to here and then down below, it did actually bootstrap from ADD Pro, but it couldn't do anything because it had no floppy drives to read or write to. So there's really no point in me trying to use it again on the Apple II Plus until I get this figured out. But after doing a little bit of research on some things, I may have found a really janky solution of how to possibly make a floppy. I don't know if it's going to work or not. So this is my janky solution. I went over to my Apple II Plus and I pulled the Disc 2 controller card and the Disc 2 emulator. And I'm going to try and use this to make a floppy with the Apple II GS. But I want to talk about exactly why I think this might work. I don't know if it'll work or not, but I think it will. And the reason why is because of the way the Apple IIs are set up. So David Murray, the 8-bit guy, did a really in-depth video of how the Apple II system works. Its graphical capabilities, sound, hardware, its memory address, and all that kind of stuff. And in that video, he talked about each of the 7 slots in the Apple II line, minus the 2C and 2C Plus, were all hard mapped to a specific memory address. So what would happen is when you would plug in a, say, Disc 2 controller card, the ROM chip here, its code would go into that memory space. So that when the system bus scanned through the line, its memory addresses and found ROM code, and if it was a bootable ROM code, like it is in the Disc 2 controller card here, it would load that code into its memory. Because of the way that it's and I don't fully know how all that works, to be honest. So I'm not going to try and bullcrap my way through it. But anyway, the way I think that works is that it's not hard-coded. The ROM's not hard-coded. It can be in any slot. You can put this controller card in slot 7. I could put it in slot 3, slot 2. And the Apple II Plus doesn't care. It's not going to freak out and go, oh, your disc controller's in the wrong slot. You got to move it over here. It's not going to care. Later software might, because by the Apple IIc and the 2GS, a lot of software was expecting the disc card to be in, I think, 5 or 6. But the earlier Apple II Pluses don't care. So what that means is, technically speaking, if you were a baller back in the day, you could have had 2 or 3 Disc 2 controller cards and 6 Disc 2 drives, like if you're a BBS operator, and you could basically be like, oh, PR number 5D1 is the boot drive, PR number 5D2 is utilities, PR number 6D1 is these files, and so on and so on. So there's no reason to think this wouldn't work on an Apple II GS as long as I go back into the settings and set whatever slot I put this in as your card, which then should mean I should be able to boot into DOS of some kind with this, and then use some sort of copy utility that I copy onto that onto this SD card to try and copy and make an ADD Pro floppy. Let's go try that. I do need to go upstairs though and use CiderPress, because this little emulator is a great emulator for the Apple II. But the problem is it only handles the older .dsk file systems, not .po. So hopefully CiderPress, I can convert a PO image of ADD Pro or something to .dsk for it. So let's try it out. Okay, so we're going to put this into slot 5 and put it right there. Check what's on here real quick. Okay, so hopefully this will work. No device. Oh, God, you can tell I'm not an Apple guy. Control panel, and because I have no battery, it forgot. Yeah, okay. So 5 should be your card. Okay. We got system master. Okay. Let's just see what's on. Oh, whoops. Okay, so one is diagnostics. Unfortunately, my laptop doesn't have a full SD card slot. It has just a micro one, and this is not a micro one, so. Okay, so I've got ProDOS loaded, so I should be able to copy to plus. So I should be able to. All right, let's format a floppy and see what happens. Okay, so I'm actually re-recording this section. Or this clip here. It's been a few days since I've done this, and then as I was editing the video and adding in all my clips, I realized I was missing a piece of footage, which was me actually showing this working with the janky setup here with the emulated drive, the real drive, and the built-in card floppy controller and the add-in card. So I'm gonna do that real quick and just I'll splice it into the video, and hopefully it makes sense a little bit. All right, so it should boot into image 2, which should be ProDOS. Yep, okay, so it'll boot into ProDOS. Copy to plus. Yes, I want 80 column mode. Okay, first we're going to format a disk in a. We're going to do it in a DOS 3.3 format. And I think this floppy's good. I don't know if it'll actually format or not, but this is kind of show you the process I used. All right, so it should be slot 6 drive 1. Okay. Oh, it is going to format it. Listen to that thing chirp away. Yeah. I wasn't sure because some of these 5 1/4 floppies that I got in that big lot I did a shorts on a while ago. Some of that with Apple II stuff aren't formatting correctly for some reason when I was trying to do this. I went through like at least a dozen floppies trying to get this to work with all the floppies I made. Anyway, I'm going to copy a disk. I'm going to go to I think just copy disk. Source drive should be. So I'm just going to copy this ProDOS disk that's in here. I don't know if it's actually going to work this way. I think I actually had to write down what I put in here. Yeah, okay, it's erroring out. It's not going to do it. But okay, so yeah, it's just giving me a bunch of errors. But anyway, this is how I did it. Originally, it does work. It's just for some reason there's something weird with this floppy or something's going on. But this is how I got it to work. I basically copied from the emulated drive to the physical drive. In fact, it might be getting errors because I'm trying to read from the floppy that's loaded in. I don't think why that would be an issue, but yeah, this is how I got it to work. So anyway, back to the main video. All right, so this disk did not want to format, but this one did. And it should have like Apple II, like a utility desktop thing. So we're going to, okay, so I should be able to PI number 6. Oh, is it loading something? ProDOS 8. Oh yes, it did. Cool. So now it has now I have something bootable, kind of ish. Okay, so I'm gonna do that again, but I'm gonna try and do it for 80 Pro. I'll be right back. Yeah, I don't even remember where I got these red ones, to be honest. Okay, so I did it again, and this time I put focus DOS 3.3, which is a boot floppy for the Apple II Plus. So let's just make sure that it will boot. God, this is such a janky way of doing this. Ooh. Yes! Oh, that's awesome. Muffin? I have a bootable copy of 3.3. Holy crap. Okay, now let's try to do this with ADD Pro. Okay, and I had to go find a different floppy for that. I took some 3.5-inch labels and cut them down for this. So this should be ADD Pro. Should be anyway. Yes! Oh yes, I have ADD Pro now. Okay, I'm on serial. ADD Pro. Okay, I just want to see if it'll do something. Let's just try and transfer over ProDOS again. If I could type today, 2_4_3. Okay. Please work. Enter. No activity connected. Once it's connected, host timeout. Okay, let's try it again. Okay, let's try it again. Host timeout. Why am I getting a host timeout now? Oh my god, I'm stupid. Oh, I know what I did wrong. Yeah, I know what it is. I bet I forgot to do this, didn't I? Yep. Quit. Okay. Okay, let's try this now. ProDOS _2_4_3.0. Oh! It worked! Oh my god, ADD Pro is now working. Sweet. Now, I obviously don't want to transfer that because I don't want to overwrite what's currently in that drive. So, whew, that's going to work. Awesome. Oh my god, this actually worked. That is amazing. Okay, now to get on to getting that to boot with a floppy. And yes, I'm going to be using this while it's working to make a crap ton of other floppies. So, yeah, let's get to working on the Apple II Plus. I can't believe that this janky solution worked to do this. I'm actually a little surprised that it did work, because it was just a thought process that it should work, and there was even some forums that mentioned that this working, but I didn't know that it was going to work on a 2GS because of its built-in capabilities. So yeah, I'm surprised that it worked for that, so that I could make the ADD Pro utility floppy. And then I'm also really surprised I needed that floppy in the first place. Because yeah, my laptop will not bootstrap that 2GS with the Super Serial card and that adapter, which is weird because if it wouldn't work for bootstrapping, you'd think there was a communication problem and it wouldn't send the floppy data. But yeah, while I had it all working and stuff, I may have went overboard a little bit and made a lot of floppies. I was having fun. I was surprised it was working. I wanted to milk it for all it was worth. I don't have any footage of it. I kept having to move the camera, so I turned the camera off. But anyway, I made ProDOS 2.4.2, which 2.4.3 would not, the floppy would not boot on my 2GS. So I don't know if there was something wrong with the disk image I downloaded. So this is a 2.4.2, which is from 2018, which is surprisingly, it's from 2018. Apparently, there's a lot of people that are still updating ProDOS, which is outstanding. But I also made two different versions of the older DOS 3.3, and luckily they're both different. This one actually is from 1980, which is when this machine would have been sold, and the other one is from 83, towards the tail end of its lifespan, towards when the Apple IIe would have came out. Plus, a couple games, a couple floppies on games like Tetris and Pipe Dreams and Montezuma's Revenge and Dragonfire, Ultima 1, which is going to be iconic and classic. I can't wait for that. But these are going to be useless if I can't get them to work on the Apple II Plus, which I have another janky solution for this. Okay, and this is my solution. So you may recognize this as the first damaged 5 1/4 floppy controller. I actually picked this one up shortly after I picked up the original 2GS over there, because it came with a 5 1/4 drive. And even though I didn't have this 20 pin style one yet, I kind of had one on my cart on eBay, and I figured I could buy this and then use that until I got an actual disc 2, which unfortunately these are more expensive than these for some weird reason. I don't know why, but I would have needed a 19 to 20 pin adapter. But I was told by a couple people on eBay that these later style ones like this that came with the 2Es and the 2E Platinums, these actually are backwards compatible with the 2 Plus and allow you to use the newer, later 5 1/4 19 pin style drives on the 2 Plus. I picked one of these up on eBay, and kind of a long story short, it originally did read floppy, so I was able to play a couple games like Ghostbusters and that kind of stuff, but with the RAM issue, it wasn't doing a whole lot. So when I was trying to use ADD Pro originally, last year, 2 years ago, whenever that was, to try and make a diagnostic floppy, power supply failed with a couple capacitors popping, and capacitors popping on the RAM card the second it tried to write to the floppy drive. Basically, a whole bunch of stuff went wrong. So after fixing the power supply, this would not work correctly. At some point, a mouse had gotten down here and while it was in storage and chewed through the wires, so I had to repair the wires. There was continuity between the pins here and the pins here. It wouldn't move the read-write head. It wouldn't do the head banging thing. It would just spin the motor. So I actually thought that the drive died, but it actually was just this because the drive worked perfectly on my 2GS. So I was kind of at a loss of what to do with the 2 Plus here, because now I got the RAM thing fixed and I could use this 20 pin card and this emulator here until I got this figured out. Well, while doing one of my many e-waste runs dropping off junk parts, in the stack of junk circuit boards, I found a couple junk and destroyed 2E motherboards. The keyboards were gone, the cases were smashed, they were long thrown away. But I did manage to salvage another Super Serial card, the second one that I mentioned earlier, and I managed to find another one of these 5.25 controller cards. It's a little bit older. This one actually says Apple 5.25 drive controller, whereas this one says I/O controller. So this is a newer version, this is an older version, but the ribbon cable was completely ripped off. As you can see from this one, I cut the harness off of front of the dead section, and I took off the cover cap, and I lined up the wires, and I attached it to this. I have connectivity between here and here, so ideally if I plug this into my 2 Plus, it should boot using the floppy drive and one of the floppies I just made. So fingers crossed, because that's the whole point of this video. All right, so we're just gonna pop this into 5 here. Line it up with the cutout here, plug in the floppy drive. I still don't have the keyboard fixed. It still is really sporadic when it works. There's something weird with the encoder board connector here, but I do plan on fixing it in the future. I'm doing this out of order, but I want to see this thing boot under its own power again from a physical floppy. Basically, for the first time since I had that massive power failure issue. Okay, Apple II Plus DOS from 1981. Fingers crossed. Oh, I just got a little worried because there's nothing on screen. You know, it would help if you would plug in the frickin' composite cables. You know, I'm thinking about, with this, since this is the only Apple monitor I have, I'm kind of thinking about either retrowriting this or seeing if I could paint it to match this. I don't know. Okay. Now, fingers crossed. I love unscripted videos. Apple II. Yes! It's awesome. DOS 3382580 Apple II Plus all-round card system master loading. Yes. Oh my, yes, it's booting from an actual floppy again. Like it's supposed to. Oh yes. Oh, and now the keyboard's working just fine. Awesome. Oh, that's awesome. Exec demo? What is exec demo? Whoops. File program creates a sequential text file named doer containing several strings, each legal Apple II command. When you type exec doer, then the command's in the file doer. Wait, what? Wait, what? Okay. I want to try a different floppy though. Try ProDOS. This, I think, only needs like 16K of memory. This requires all 64. So, oh, this is so cool. Oh, this is awesome. Oh wait, it's got let load. Oh, I was kind of afraid that it was since I had the other stuff loaded in the memory. Oh, this is awesome. Okay, so this has got an older version of ADD. Ooh, there might be something wrong with that monitor. But yeah, this is awesome. I have a working floppy disk now. Oh, this has been a trip. I'm not gonna lie, this has been an amazing trip for this. Oh, will this load ADD Pro though? I want to keep trying the floppies that I made. Oh yes. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, sweet. It will sound. Oh, this is awesome. Oh, I have to be a little bit quiet because my kid's upstairs napping. Okay, hi everyone. Sorry about that, but it's been a few days, as you can tell from the wardrobe change. Stuff moved around, and the lovely beard growth I have going. It's been a few days since I've messed with the Apple IIs here. I'm having to re-record a few things, mainly the intro from an audio problem. No, yeah, an audio problem on my videos. No, that never happens. I need to record a clip and showing this thing actually working and how it works. Hopefully, as long as I have any good floppy drives left. A couple of the last batch didn't want to format correctly. And I also need to re-record the outro here because literally mid-sentence a couple days ago when I was recording this stuff originally, my overhead light just quit working. It just shut off. It's just a random ongoing problem. I don't know what's going on there. It's probably something with the LED conversion kit I did. But anyway, I'm actually super happy that this whole video just worked out and everything just started working once it started working, I should say. Because it was a really rocky start with the 2GS here not wanting to boot from bootstrap from ADD Pro. And the thing is with that, I was on the fence. I was assuming that it wasn't going to work, but I was also hopeful it would. Because the last piece I could try was that null modem adapter that I had in the cable. Because ever since I've gotten this thing, then later learned of the capabilities of ADD Pro, what it could do, its ease of use, and all that kind of stuff, I've never seen this thing get bootstrapped from ADD Pro. There was always something that was causing some weird issue. And I think I mentioned this earlier, I tried a couple different super serial cards, I tried a couple different USB to serial adapters, I tried Windows, I tried Linux, different versions of them, I tried different drivers, I tried different ADD Pro versions. I even used some really old versions of it to see if maybe there's just something really weird and wonky with it. Yeah, when I saw that it wasn't working, I was getting a little disheartened. And yes, I know I've said janky way too many times, but I am really glad that this janky solution of using a Disk 2 emulator here with a second controller card and in conjunction with the built-in capabilities of the 2GS, I'm glad that I was able to get that to work in order to make the physical floppy I needed to make ADD Pro work, because once that started working, it was connecting, it just worked. It wouldn't stop working. Yeah, like I said earlier, while it was working, I just kept making floppies for this thing, and I was just, making all floppies that I could think of, some games, utilities, operating systems. In fact, this was working so well, I'm actually a little irritated about the fact that I do not have a working 3.5-inch drive for this, because much like the 2 Plus here, I've never seen this thing boot its own operating system. Now, I do have some 3.5-inch Apple IIgs software games, and I've seen this thing boot the some of the 5 1/4 floppies that was in that giant tote that I went through that was mostly all 2E stuff. I've seen it boot that stuff, but because I don't have a working 3.5-inch drive, I've never seen this thing boot the 16-bit geo-specific software. So had I had a working drive, I could have made it and seen this thing fully work. Oh well, that'll be a future video thing, because I want to do some more stuff with the 2GS obviously in the future. The whole point of this video was less about the 2GS and more about the 2 Plus, because since I've gotten this thing, I've had, like I've said in some previous videos, so many hardware issues with this thing. I just was afraid it was going to be a display-only shelf princess computer. The ones that look good on a shelf, but no, there's something majorly wrong with it. It'll never correctly work, but oh god, it looks cool, right? Which, there's nothing really wrong with that if they're like super rare computers or they're super obscure computers where you just cannot get parts and there's not really much of a third-party enthusiastic computer group out there that's trying to keep them running. And then in those situations, it's fine, but this is an Apple II Plus. These things are so common and they were so everywhere that it would almost be insulted to not try and get one of these things to work. But yeah, with all the hardware issues it's had, the power supply issue, the RAM issue, the RAM card, the controller card having issues, the disk drive not wanting to work, which turned out later was less of the... It was also the card not working too, but it was also just once I took it apart, cleaned it on the 2GS here, it just worked, and it still didn't work with the disc card. But yeah, I was just under the assumption that I would never see it fully work. And now finally, after 3 years, I finally got to see this thing boot without any hardware issues, under its own power, physical media. DOS 3.3 on a physical floppy. It's just one of the most outstanding feelings that I was able to finally see this thing work as it was intended to back when it was released in the early 80s. It actually makes me really happy. And yes, I know it's kind of a silly thing because, yeah, I could have just kept using this disc 2 drive here and just used emulated floppies. I easily could have. Or I could have ordered a floppy emu. Or I could have ordered the reactive turbo drive. I could have done so many things to get this thing to work on an emulated scale. I just really wanted to see this thing boot a physical floppy of DOS 3.3. I know it's kind of one of those silly things, especially with the number of emulated stuff out there, but it's a really good feeling to see it. It really is. And I know I wasn't as excited when I first recorded it, but to be fair, my kid and wife were upstairs napping. I really did not want to wake them up and get yelled at. But anyway, now that this thing is basically 99% done, just need to fiddle with the keyboard a little bit more. Some of the future plans I have for this is that I really want to find either another later style 5 1/4 drive, that way it has its own dedicated floppy drive, or I would love to find one of the original disc 2s that came with, you know, the original Apple II Plus. Yeah, I know it's silly because it's like, well, if you already have the 19-pin one, just put the 19-pin controller card in there and call it good. And I absolutely will. Just for like the appearance sake, I would kind of like to find one of the original older style disc 2s. This way it has the disk drive that it would have came with, and I can use that 20-pin card with an actual drive, and then have this set to either drive A or drive B. That way I have at least some sort of emulated quick or easy card to, you know, make media that way or play games or software, whatever, that way. Now obviously the Bell & Howell version of these drives are expensive, but they're actually just Apple II drives that's been painted black, which is why I would love to find maybe one that's Sharpied up or etched up or super yellowed or something that I can paint to match this. You know, not with the intention of, you know, tricking people like, ooh, I have a Bell & Howell drive. No, I wouldn't put any Bell & Howell branding on it. It would be an Apple II drive. I just want it to look like it would match this. Beyond that, there's really not too many upgrades that I fully could do to the Apple II Plus here. There's really not a point in me installing like the Mockingbird sound card in here, because most of the games with the 2 Plus wouldn't, there's really not enough to support it, and most of the games that would are going to require more RAM. Really not much of a point to me installing a like a Saturn 128K RAM card or some sort of clone of it, because, well, any software I would need more RAM than what this thing's capable of. I can use the 2GS here in its 2E mode. There's really not a point to me putting like an Ethernet card in here, which they do exist, shockingly, for those of you that don't keep up to date with Apple IIs. There's an Ethernet card for these. There's really not a point to that because, well, 64K, that's enough for like BBS systems, but I've really never messed with BBS stuff. I'd like to, but that'll be, you know, future stuff. I mean, it would be neat to put like one of those CF card adapters in here to kind of get some sort of hard card storage and be able to run a whole bunch of other games and software and stuff. But at the same time, if I'm going to spend the money on one of those, it's more likely going to be for the 2GS here, which you better take, you know, advantage of its, you know, that kind of situation hardware, because these had the more options for hard drives than the 2 Pluses would have had. I guess if I was to get any upgrade for this thing, it would be a floppy emu, which would plug into either one of those controller cards. So again, that's all future stuff. It's basically now fully working. I do want to get that monitor figured out, why it had that fuzziness that popped up. Okay, anyway, with that being said, thank you all for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you have any thoughts or comments, put them down below about any of the stuff that I did in this video to try and get this this to work. I know it was convoluted as heck, so more than likely people's going to be making fun of me in the comments, and I'll be joining right with you laughing at me, because yeah, this was such a convoluted, messy way of doing what I did, making some physical media. I'll admit that right now. If there's any games or software you want to see me run specifically on the 2 Plus here, now that I've got it basically fully 100% working, let me know down in the comments, and I'll try and use ADD Pro to either make a physical floppy for it, or if I can find it in DSK format, or find a way to convert it, use my Disk 2 emulator here, because this is fully working. I can't wait to keep messing with it and playing with it. It's awesome. I will say at some point in the future, now that I know how to get ADD Pro to work, I do plan on doing a dedicated ADD Pro video, like a step-by-step of how to get it to bootstrap, whether it's on the 2 Plus here with serial or audio. I don't have an Ethernet card, so I can't do the Ethernet version. Or, well, not bootstrap it with this, but show it working on the Apple II GS here step by step, because ADD Pro is actually a very powerful software. I'll put links to the website down below. Again, with that being said, thank you all for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it and had a good laugh at watching somebody who's not an Apple II guy go the most convoluted, janky way possible making a floppy. And I'll see you all in the next video. Thanks for watching.